Traders, I have a fresh batch of ideas that could set up for a very, very exciting week ahead. So in this update, I'm going to walk you through my exact thought process and detail my entry and exit targets for my top picks, which are all poised, in my opinion, for significant directional moves in the upcoming week. Now, the expectation adjustment, rotation, and profit taking expected in the semi sector and specifically NVIDIA, which I outlined last week, were spot on. The reversion trade in NVIDIA and the semis were by far the greatest opportunities of the previous week, and ones which I spoke about and reviewed in detail in my last meeting on Thursday after the market closed in Inside Access. So be sure to check out the link below if you'd like to hear more from me and several other traders on the desk. Now, for my top picks for the upcoming week. My first top pick for the upcoming week is going to be a washout long or a bounce trade, potentially setting up in NVIDIA. Now, this idea applies to several names, so it's important to focus on what best suits your style. Now, for me, I'm going to be focusing my attention on NVIDIA and possibly SOXL, SMH to express the idea and trade if it does materialize and set up accordingly. So this is what I'm looking for. So firstly, and I'm going to go to a lower time frame to walk through this, but of course the original idea and the opportunity from last week, it sets up from a much higher time frame on a daily chart. Let's go down to a 5-minute chart. Now, firstly, similar to the action back in March on 8th and the 11th, history could repeat itself. The stock could gap up into potential resistance tomorrow near 130, and it could gap up into that level, it could trade into that level, it could hold above that level in the morning, similar to what it did in March. If that was the case, I would not be focused on the long. The risk reward would not be skewed in my favor. So instead, I would then be open to a short scalp if we had to trade into a potential resistance area of around 130, which we can see is held multiple times, and then on Friday acted as resistance, so support turned into resistance. So if we trade into that level, we open up, we gap up, we holding above or near that area, I won't be focused on the long. The risk reward to the long side won't be skewed in my favor, so I would be open to a short scalp, which would be on a much lower time frame, and intraday should we open up near this level, pop and fail, looking for a quick reactive short. But the idea that I'm very excited about is if history does not repeat itself. So, now that the rebalance on Friday is out of the way, the stock has pulled back significantly from the 52-week highs. What I would like is a beautiful washout long near potential support, which is around the low 120s. So let's go to the daily chart. Potential support, you can see, comes in at around 125 all the way down to sort of 120, so within the zone. So if we had to get a washout down into that low, if we had to get a push further down into the low 120s, 119, 120, that would really excite me in terms of risk reward to the long side. That would offer a skewed risk reward. So in that situation, I would be looking for a washout down into potential support within this zone that we've identified. I would want to see a snapback and reclaim, so a higher low, reclaim its intraday VWAP, for example, or any steady trend lower in the morning, which I don't think is probable, but it is the outcome in which would get me most excited for a swing trade. Any steady downtrend, day 3 of selling, coming into a key area of support, and then we get a higher low, a definitive area and level to trade against, and that is what would get me excited. So if that were to take place, I would get long once we found some support, once we reclaimed intraday VWAP, once we reclaimed a key area, maybe 124s to 125s, once we started to base after putting in a higher low, I would get long against the low of day or against that previous higher low. And my initial plan would be targeting a 1 ATR up move. So that would put it from anticipated entry, a 1 ATR up move would put it towards around this 127 area, potential short-term resistance on the first attempt of testing it. So that would be my first target from an entry in the low 120s into a move to 127 full ATR. Thereafter, I would be trailing my stop using a higher low on the 15-minute time frame and ultimately targeting a move back towards 130 for a multi-day swing trade. But thereafter potentially looking to continue to trail my stop on the 15-minute time frame as we make significant higher highs intraday. I'd be looking to scale out for a move potentially into another area of interest, which would be around the low to mid 130s, potentially 134, 135 even. So I'll be trailing it as the trade works. Importantly, the key here for me is going to be taking profits along the way, taking profits into my first ATR target, taking profits into potential resistance 130, significant higher highs intraday. That will allow me to lock in profits, take risk off of the table, and essentially turn it into a risk-free trade. Now, coming into the week, my main focus is NVIDIA. It is the semis. That's where the range is. That's where the liquidity, the volume is, the opportunity. And therefore, that's where my attention will be. However, there are several other names that are on my radar as well. So, for example, looking for continuation in Amazon. So, several backburner ideas that I have. And the first one is continuation in Amazon. Now, Amazon, we had a really nice breakout on Friday. We had some continuation to the upside on Friday. This is setup I went over in detail the previous evening in the Inside Access meeting, where I outlined my thought process and an overall detailed plan, a lot more in depth for Amazon. But going forward, if Amazon can continue to base over 188, over this area of resistance, if we can build a base over this area of resistance, I'm definitely going to be looking to get long on an intraday breakout for continuation. And as that trade works, my stop will be at around 188 or at the low of day, and I'll be trading my stop looking for a move back over highs. There's clear definitive resistance. We have a very clear area of support near 182, and so we have a nice range breakout and key levels to trade off of there. Next up, another setup I'm monitoring for the week ahead and going forward will be Meta. Now, Meta's been consolidating very steadily across multiple time frames on the daily chart. If we go down even to the hourly chart, we can see that this clear bullish consolidation shines through across multiple time frames. That's something that I like. We have very clear levels to trade against within this flag, which I like as well. So I'm going to be monitoring this for some further consolidation over the next several days, and then looking for a potential breakout above this resistance zone in the low 500s. Now, if that develops, if we get the breakout, if we get the follow through that I like, some relative strength in the overall market, I'm going to look to enter long once it is based over resistance. Once resistance within this zone can turn into support. So once that takes shape, once that develops, once I have confirmation, importantly, I'm going to look to get long with the low of day stop, and I'm targeting a move initially towards the recent pivot high. So that is around 514. So targeting a move, initially a base, consolidation, resistance turns into support, and then from there we get a move into this 514 area as target one, and thereafter trailing my stop as I typically do. Now onto my last two backburner ideas for the upcoming week. So these are going to be in small caps. The first one is going to be in AREB. So AREB, and very similar to the next idea I'm going to talk about in MINM, is essentially targeting move back into potential supply, back into resistance from day one, and developing into the 2-day multi-day VWAP, so into the mid to high 70s. If we get a push there, we get a fail and a clear level to risk against, straightforward reactive trade where I'm looking to short versus the high of that move, targeting a move back towards the lows from the after hours and down to potentially 50 cents for a reactive short trade. MINM, prefer this to AREB as there's more overhead resistance and there's definitely a clearer picture of a backside trade. So looking for day two for a push into potential resistance. That might be at around 380, 390 within this zone, or a quick wick up to potentially the 2-day VWAP, which will come in likely closer to 4. So any push from 380 up to 4, looking for a push into this anticipated area of failure of supply of overhead. A nice push into that area and fail would definitely get me interested in a short versus the high of that move, targeting a move back down towards the low 3s. So these are all the stocks that are on my radar. As I mentioned, NVIDIA semis will dominate my focus. That's where I'm going to prioritize most of my attention, my mental and real capital. That's where the range is, the volume, the liquidity, the opportunity. And I think that there should be some good bounce setups in the coming week, depending on how and where we open on Monday, of course. Let me know if there's anything else on your radar, on your watch list that you think I've missed that I should perhaps even add to my watch list. Let me know your thoughts. What is your plan around those ideas and around those trades? I'd love to hear from it. Let me know your thoughts on the ideas that I shared with you. Would love to hear your feedback as well, and perhaps you have a similar idea or you have a different way of trailing your stop or managing your risk. Let me know, and I look forward to hearing from all of you and seeing you all again next week.
So you're an active trader, not doing as well as you want, not doing as well as you deserve, and you just can't figure out why you can't become profitable no matter how hard you try. Well, let me show you why. This is your competition. The traders in this room. This room right here is full of elite traders, some of whom are making 7 and even 8 figures a year. In fact, our top guys have made nearly 20 million each in net trading profits in a single year. Let's head to my office so I can share more. So you're probably used to seeing videos of lavish trader lifestyles, trading gurus trading off of a laptop for an hour a day, heck, maybe even 15 minutes a day, and then them relaxing on some secluded beach for the rest of the day. Well, all I can tell you is that our traders train like pro athletes. They live and breathe the markets and are continually working on their trading skills. Because at our firm, that's what we found it really takes to make it in this game. I'm Mike Bellafiore, co-founder and managing partner of SMB Capital, one of the world's top proprietary trading firms located in Midtown Manhattan. And we're always looking for trading talent to hire and develop. And not just to trade in-house on our desk, but also to trade from their own home, entirely using our firm's capital. And we have numerous traders doing just that, allowing them to make upwards of 7 figures trading the firm's capital without risking their own money. But to even get a shot at something like that, you need to have the right training. That's why we're doing a new free online presentation in which we share how you can get an interview with SMB to become an in-house or remote trader, trading firm capital without risking yours and gaining access to all of our firm's coaching and resources. And the best part, you don't have to be a profitable trader yet. In fact, we prefer to mold profitable traders with our methods and our techniques. That's why we have just 3 simple criteria that can earn anyone an interview. We're looking for highly ambitious and determined traders who fit our culture first and foremost. So if you believe that could be you, sign up for the free 1-hour online presentation by clicking the link that's in your top right corner of your screen now.